All right, so now that we're all done, well, I shouldn't say all done, but mostly done, you can see I took off the cross auger on this one. And yeah, so it's actually very little holding it on. It's a bracket on both sides. This one mounts to the motor here. A couple bolts in the middle with a bracket, and that's it. So we took it off. It works decent in canola without the cross auger, but the cross auger definitely helps. Okay, everything's backwards, so I'll go this way. So this one would be the drive end. And there's just 4 bolts holding it in. I guess you can't really see. They're a prick to line up, but it's not that bad. All the way to the center. I took the flighting off where we're going to be welding. This is the center flex point, and what it does is it's got these rubber bushings in here, so it's got some wobble to it there. I guess it would sit in this way. Yes, kind of like that. No, the other way. It sits this way. So on this side, it's got some bushing wobble, which it's allowed to have for the flex. This side, well, I guess it kind of does both sides. Yeah. Anyways, that broke. That goes inside the other side down here. This would be the right side, and you can see the holes have gotten all sloppy. I don't know if you can see. Got sloppy and it bound up. So, we got this new kit. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of the kit so far. Except for one thing, but it might not be an issue. And I'm guessing the way things are looking is that it won't be an issue. So this is interesting because they used to just do the 1 U-joint and hex shaft. Now there's, it appears, two U-joints. Well, that's handy the way I've got it rolled over. I guess I can take these off. Hang on. So it's got a U-joint on both sides that are greasable. It's got a bigger grease opening over here. And it's got 2 spots to grease this. I guess I shouldn't say. It's got 1 spot to grease the sleeve that this square shaft goes in and out of, and another spot to do the U-joint up here, and another spot to do the carrier bearing in the middle. So instead of having this little slop in the bushing there, because that's a rubber bushing, that centerpiece is going to be rigid, and you'll have flex both ways. So I'm liking that new design. So my one big concern about this kit might be all for naught, because if you go, my big concern was that, hey, I've already done this kit and the weld is at 12.5 there, but this one is a bit longer, so the weld's at 14, which is fantastic. Because I was concerned when I saw this kit for 2 reasons. One, I didn't want it to be the exact same spot that we're welding, because that sucks. And for 2 reasons. One, you don't know what's underneath. There could be some globby looking stuff. Shouldn't be. But 2 is that when we did the other one, I don't remember it having this inner ring. But it could, and if it did, then your weld perforation could get under, and then it's a real prick to get out. But luckily, it gave us an extra 1.5 inches, which is fantastic. So I'm very happy about that. One thing I'm not really happy about, I got to double check with the instructions, but it seems like they sold us extra parts. That whole kit, because it's for, now it might not be, I might have to change something out. I haven't read all the instructions yet, so we'll get there. Good news is we got everything and it looks like quite a simple job. The bad news is that Dana's one welder, Cody, my cousin, is booked all week. They're working on a battery, and Dana fell down some stairs the other day and must have dislocated a rib or something, because his back is just right toast. So he said probably won't be able to get to it till next week. So the other option is I do it, which isn't a bad option. So we'll see. I got a few other things I want to take care of first, but yeah, I'm guessing I'm going to weld this. Beautiful day once this fog cooks off. All right, so we got augers up, got instructions out. It says mark location of clamps and flighting on the auger. Well, it didn't really do that, but hopefully doesn't really matter from what I can tell, because we got to put it back on, like the flighting extensions, which are right there. We have to put those on before we weld to make sure that our grease holes don't get covered up. So it says mark reference line 16 1/8 from the inboard end. So here's my reference line. Hopefully that shows up. Did it on both. And then what is it, 14 3/8 from the end, which is perfect because our old ones were about 12 1/2. So I kind of feel like this has been done before. And yeah, I'm going to cut here, right there, on both of them. And then I'm going to buff back a little bit, just strip the paint off. And I'm going to do that. And probably in the next video, or not video, but next segment, I would guess it'll sound like I'm yelling, but that's just because I'm going to have earplugs in. A little bit of a grease fire, or whew. Got one down, got to do the next. All right, got both ends cut and polished. I ran the wire wheel around them to get, I didn't quite get all the way down there. I better give that another buff. Get the paint, primer, and mill scale all off of it, because I'm going to MIG it, and truth be told, I'm not the best MIG welder in the world, so make it clean is your best shot. So I'm going to buff that up just a little bit. And these guys came, they were buffed, but they had like a storage grease or wax on them just to keep them from rusting up. So I buffed those off too. So I'll buff that for you guys, and then I'm gonna get these fitted up and put the flighting extensions in place just to make sure everything's kosher. All right, so I got this one flighting mocked up. You can kind of see by where the old one was, roughly where it should be, which is, I didn't bolt the bands on or anything. Now, there's really nothing wrong with where it is right now. I think I'm gonna offset these 180 from there, and we'll see how that works. And try and get a, I never noticed that before. That's an even better part of this design, is that's an insert. So if those do get stripped out, I don't have to weld this next time. Oh, that's cool. Never looked that far before. Yeah. Hopefully that's part of the insert on this side, but could be. Plus I even put jacking threads. Like, I'll give credit where credit's due, and I'll give criticism where criticism is due. Criticism is definitely due for this setup. It's a dumb setup. It's weak. It's poor engineering. It's poor design. Big part, like I said, you couldn't grease anything. You couldn't. And having the center point flex, which would cause, it was a dumb setup. So, as much critique as they're going to get for the dumb setup there, took them long enough, but they did a really great job on this. So, I'm guessing that these bolts are a bit longer. I would have to look, but you could back them out, probably run 2 in those holes, and this plate, if it ever wears out and your shaft breaks, all you got to do is jack that out and you're styling. And replace it and probably squeeze it in, just rotating your bolts through one at a time, and cycling it out. Great job, MacDon. I did say it took you long enough. I still stand by that, but good job. Well, unfortunately, I can't find my brother's pipelining jig. So, but this is roughly where it's got to be, just a hair in. It's a big fat weld to fill. So I should back up a step in that it says in the booklet, I guess you could probably see it on this guy, that this cut is supposed to line up with this weld seam. But it also says in the booklet to make sure if you put the flighting on, to make sure that the grease outlets are not covered. So if I line them up, this is really hard to do one-handed, this friggin' awkward thing. It goes right across there. So I'm going to do how I lined it up beforehand, where I went 180. So hopefully we're not screwing ourselves too badly. And I did check both of them. They're welded exactly the same. Well, it hasn't exactly been a job I've been committed or dedicated to doing. It's been a job that I've been doing to fill in the time, or I shouldn't say to fill in time, when I have time. So, got everything back together. You can see my paint's still a bit raw. I didn't tighten that down yet because I might need to put a shim in by the look of it. A shim or two just to square things up. Gotta confirm with the manual. And next on the docket is I gotta take that end piece off and put it on the other auger. I don't know what's going on up north today. That's gotta be the 6th cop car I've seen go screaming up there in the last 2 hours. Anyways, the other one, so this one we kind of have to put on like that end first and then lift this up into place. This one will be this end first over the square shaft and then drop it into place. So we're getting towards the end. All right, so we got everything back together. It does look a hair off kilter, but it's not even close to rubbing. There's lots of adjustment. I'm quite pleased at how close I was able to. They're not perfect. They're maybe off by 5 degrees, but get those sleeves. And that was eyeballing it. So I'm very happy with that. Centerpiece, way better design. I redid the end there. My one complaint is that if you do follow the instructions pretty closely, there's one step where there's about 4 or 5 different diagrams, and in the same step, I shouldn't say step, but chapter, every time, every different diagram, it's like, oh, this is part A, and then something else is part A in the next diagram, and discard part A in there, or part E there, but then you need part E there, but it's referring to a different part, if you get my drift. It would have been nice if they would have just stuck to some simple nomenclature, but it's there, it's just a little bit confusing. So we're done with this girl for the year, unless somebody calls and wants me to do some custom work. I don't foresee that happening. Most of the people around here are within 3 or 4 days of being done. I've got this done. I've got a lot of other work I would like to do instead of custom, but custom would be nice to have some extra income for the farm. 6 of A, half dozen of B, one of those things. So, oh, and I also got a new end shield there. When that fell off last time, it landed on that and broke it, which is probably a saving grace, because had it not, it probably would have torn the draper. So I'm just going to park this off to the side for now, and I think I'm going to go have a quick bite to eat and go disking.